Hello viewers, and welcome to our third and final Need for Speed The Run video then. Okay, so continuing my journey now in the desert. So there's lots of different expanses of land across the US, of course, so lots to play with in terms of locations. The difficulty has increased a bit now, more windy roads, more competitive rivals on the track and everything else. Actually, I'm quite surprised at the difficulty. Actually, it's more difficult than there's always this kind of theory that, you know, that simulations are really hard, and we can't produce simulations because the average player can't play them. And yet you play this, and actually, it's actually a lot more difficult than you'd initially expect it to be. So it's harder winning these races than winning anything in Forza Motorsport. I can tell you that. So very rugged, aggressive driving style. Working my way through this canyon section. Obviously this car isn't necessarily great on these types of terrain. Working my way through. I like it though. I'm liking the whole feeling of speed and the whole intensity and movie style to it. You know, I mean, the game isn't without its pros and cons. I mean, it does feel overall like a rushed game. Oh, a narrow miss there. It does feel obviously overall like a rush game, and we'll talk more about that later on, but on the whole it's just a fun racing game really, and it's got nothing outstanding about it that's going to blow anyone away. If you like Need for Speed and this style of driving, it's nice. I quite like the whole outrun experience. I mean, if we go back to the original games, they're very, very simple in comparison. You know, they had just several sections of track based on a real driving experience, and in many ways it still has that feel to it. No cops so far, of course. I'm sure the cops will come into it later in the game, but we won't get there, unfortunately. And we'll come on to reasons for that later. So, trying to catch up with these guys. I know that my best hope is to save up some NOS where possible, drive on the wrong side of the road and use it on good straights, and then you can really get past them. And another close overtake as well. All of these races have some risky overtake moments, but we've worked through it now. I've had to really NOS it out in that last section there, and again a bit more NOS now. Let's just use it up down this straight here. Look at that, going off into the distance. I always like winding roads like that, going off into the distance. That was actually one of the signature marks of the original Need for Speed, was the expanse of the road that you could see in the distance. I think you had a coastal region, a city region and a mountain region, and I played it a lot on the 3DO back in the day. Completely different type of game though. It wasn't an arcade game. The conversion to console made it an arcade game. They altered the physics and everything else. So this is a tricky section now. It's driving during a dust storm. Again, you know, stuff can come out of the dust pretty quick. There's a lot of undulation, a lot of movement. You've got very aggressive rivals now, so you need to be pushing all the way, using your NOS where possible, maximising your speed, but at the same time you don't really want to risk going on the wrong side of the road. You should see the lorries come along and trucks, and you know, they can it can be messy. If you do hit them, it is game over. I know, because I did. I was driving along, wasn't expecting it, smacked into one. An interesting mode. I quite like this. You know, it's another sort of challenge for you. Trying to break it up a bit as you're racing across the country. Narrowly avoiding the barrier there. More luck than judgment, actually. I was turning in, but the car does understeer a bit. People have asked me about the handling, actually. I mean, the handling with a wheel is well, I only played the demo with Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. By the time I got Need for Speed Hot Pursuit the game, it's been out in shops for 6 weeks, so there wasn't really much point in filming videos for you guys. Everybody's seen it, everybody's played it, so I never actually got to play it properly with a wheel. Suffice to say that the demo didn't handle very well with the wheel. This is okay, you know, it's a bit sloppy, the handling, it's very imprecise, you know. It's okay though, it's okay, it's fun enough, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, with the G25 there, it's handling well. I will test it with some other wheels. I've been asked to test it with a Fanatic CSR, so I'll probably have a quick go with that. But for now we're just coming to the end of this stage now. Again, I found this stage quite difficult. It's quite a stressful stage because you can't see where you're going very well. So you're kind of hoping that traffic hits you at the right points, because if it doesn't, you can be a little bit unlucky on this game when it comes to bumps and corners and as to where the traffic is. But that's another stage over and done with. So that concludes my journey on Need for Speed The Run, because following that stage the game crashed for me. Not only crashed, but the game will not load any further for me on my disc. So here I was recording here for my next stage, waiting ages for it to load up and eventually giving up on it. I doubt we'll be receiving a copy from EA, so we haven't had any support from EA on this title, which is a bit of a shame, because we would still like to have interviewed the developers and got a bit more information from them. But as you can see here, I reloaded, cleaned the disc, everything several times, and decided, you know what, we're going to give up. The run will not load any further than that point you can see right there, which is a shame, because I was quite enjoying it and I was hoping to show you guys the full extent of the run. So I thought, well, before we give up on it, we will have a look at the challenge modes. Now these are unlocked when you unlock different regions. I'm in my Nissan Fair Lady, and it's not a quick car, honestly. Struggling up the hills in San Fran here. It's cool because actually I do recognise some of it from Driver San Francisco. A very different look to it, but I do recognise it still. So this is an interesting race. Not one of my cleanest races, but still good fun, and with an interesting ending to it. Getting car handles okay. You know, it's a little bit sloppy at times here. The back end just came out, and I was like, whoa! Tried to get it round, and just wasn't having it. Completely different handling to what I've been driving, obviously. So we'll take a little bit of practice moving to another car. It would have been interesting actually playing a one-player game and seeing how it handled with different cars, but I think it would be nice actually is when you start the game, if you had a like practice area, you know, choose your car, take it for a test drive. That would be handy as well. Just so you can find something that suits your driving style. So working my way up over the hill, I do some narrow overtakes as usual here and there. Narrow near misses. There we go. Oh goodness, managed to find my way through there somehow. So as you can see, getting a little bit more the hang of the handling of the car. Took a few corners and then getting better at it, but the car just doesn't have the pace. There is no more pace in the car at the moment, so I went for that. I just thought, damn, see if I can take that guy out. A little bit of aggressive driving. I just thought, oh look, there's just no more speed in the car. It's so frustrating. They're all speeding away from me. So I'm driving here, wrong side of the road to get some additional NOS. And maxing it, everything I've got. Coming up to the finishing line. Through the middle, come on, last little bit. Just about managing the win. That was a good one, wasn't it? You always like a win like that, even if in actual fact it was a bit of a rubbish time. Anyway, so I had a look at a couple of the others as well. Here we are, this is the next stage in the challenge section. So, as I was saying, just to conclude then, the run is a lot of fun. There's limited options. There are some very odd areas, such as the beginning of this race, where if you go back and take a look, it actually gives you driver control when it's going to crash into a wall. Why? It seems to be a strange one. Features-wise, you know, it's a bit lacking. There's not a lot to it. It just seems like a game that's a bit rough around the edges. It's kind of old school EA, if you like, the kind of kick it out the door with a new feature and market it idea, rather than, you know, really making the most of it. And it would be nice to see EA go away now and say, you know, we want to create a game that's right up there with, you know, the Gran Turismos and the Forza Motorsports of this world. And there's no reason with EA's backing that shouldn't happen. Instead you get these games that are a little bit rough around the edges because they know it has a FIFA sort of audience that will always buy it every year, and they will. You know, they're never bad games. It's just, I say, there is that polish that it would be nice to see. Developers are always under so much pressure to get these games out on time. The challenge modes are a welcome addition. The car handling is okay. You know, I've got no problem with that. It's an arcade game. It handles like an arcade game. This bridge section's pretty cool. High speed, overtaking. I have a bad accident in a moment as well, but I thought to myself, these are all just one takes for you guys. I'm not gonna you know, just do lots of retakes. I just wanted to drive it, see what happens, make a video, show you guys, and go from there, rather than, as I say, recording simply perfect runs. I thought, you know, you need a bit of bashing action where possible. So just having a cruise now, you know, and I take it a little bit too easy in just a moment. The traffic increases and I have nowhere to go. Oh, that guy changed lanes, wasn't indicating. What's going on there? No good. That's the end of that stage as well. So there we go, another one out the way, and now we just have a couple of cuts of a couple of other stages. There's a little crash here that I had. So, as I say, guys, that's it for the Need for Speed coverage from me. We've seen a bit of the run, we've seen a bit of the challenge modes, and now I'll be jumping back on some of the other upcoming racing titles and a little bit of Formula One and Forza Motorsport as well. Here we see an unavoidable accident. I'm racing along, minding my own business, and suddenly, oh, guys, facing the wrong way. Not much I can do about that one. Golf is toast. Just a little clip here later in the stage, racing along, avoiding stuff. So these are pretty cool, you know, they add a little bit of longevity to the game. I've heard about this 2-hour business, I've got no problem with that. Many of the best games ever released have been pretty short. I'd rather shorten great quality and replay value. How much replay value that the run has really depends on how much you want to hone your times and everything else on the stages. So here in PC frame rate is locked to 30 frames a second. That's a little bit of a disturbing trend. I don't really know why EA have done that. And finally then, on this twisty mountain section, I really enjoyed just one last time looking at that, and this concludes our Need for Speed The Run coverage. So I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, viewers. More from me very soon.